Hello, everyone. I'm Paul James Caden, and this is The Spirit Side. In today's upload, we're going to talk about life-saving encounters with UFOs. When we bring up the topic of UFOs, we hear a lot about the scary side, the cattle mutilations, the abductions of people, the eerie lights in the sky that just make people feel uneasy, like they're being watched, or having that feeling that something notorious is about to happen. But we don't hear a lot about the positive encounters that people have had with these mysterious crafts. Years ago, I would say probably the spring of 1999, I bought a book in a local Barnes & Noble. It was entitled Divine Encounters. It was a pretty thick book, and the whole book was stories of people that had life-changing or positive experiences with UFOs. And that book put me on a journey that, after the advent of the internet and I had a computer, I would even search online for stories of people that had life-changing or life-saving experiences with UFOs. And I was surprised that the number of stories that I read and acquired or even heard about when talking to people about spaceships and aliens and UFOs in our skies. Now, when it comes to the book Divine Encounters, I don't remember who the author was. And sadly, I lent that book to a friend who never returned it, and he disappeared off the face of the earth. I could never find the book again. I looked online. I've searched high and low. I could never find that little gray paperback book with all those stories in it again. So if anyone out there is interested in searching for this title, if you find it, please let me know in the comments below, because I would love to repurchase this title. But now, aside from all of that, let's talk about some of the stories where UFOs actually helped people or saved their lives. There was one man who was out by himself in a boat, and I forget which part of the sea he was in, but he encountered stormy weather and his boat capsized. He was stranded at sea probably for 48 hours. He finally found his way by swimming and floating to land, but the problem was he was looking up at a cliff that he had no way of scaling. So he hung there up by the rocks at the foot of this cliff, hoping that someone would come along and actually see him and pull him out of the water. But on the night of the second day, as he hung onto the rocks at the bottom of the cliff, he saw a mysterious light in the sky. At first he thought he was hallucinating because he hadn't eaten anything in a couple of days. Maybe his blood sugar was getting low. But as the thing came closer, he saw that it was a classic UFO. This thing hovered over him, shooting down a beam of light, which picked him up out of the water and set him on the dry ground on top of the cliff, and then proceeded just to disappear into the heavens. There are also stories of UFOs appearing over ships at night that were encountering bad weather, and it seemed that the UFOs either somehow made the weather less severe around the ship or held the ship in place with a beam of light so that it didn't capsize during the storm. There are stories of UFOs leading people out of the woods who were lost, wandering through the woods for God knows how many days, and these things would appear and guide them out of the woods. They would follow the light. almost like an angel or a guardian angel guiding them with its light out of the woods so they could get help. There was one such case where a UFO led a child who was lost in the forest back home, right to the front yard of his parents. We hear a lot of stories of UFOs appearing and cars just shutting off. They won't start. It's like the battery goes dead before the person is abducted. But we don't hear a lot of stories of the UFOs where someone broke down on some desolate highway and a UFO appeared and the car miraculously started. There are even tales of people who are ill, some terminally ill with things like cancer, who had an abduction experience only once in their lives, a once in a lifetime abduction experience, I guess you could say. And after the experience, their disease was gone. They had no more tumors in their body, no more sickness. They lived to a ripe old age, or at least were still living at the time of sharing their story with whatever author or magazine article that they wanted to tell it to. There's also a number of stories out there of people who are lost in their lives, living very reckless lives, making bad decisions, a life of drugs, crimes, hurting other people, who had encounters with UFOs, or rather their occupants, who actually turned their lives around by communicating with these people in their minds and telling them they needed to stop what they were doing, to start walking in the light, to seek God. And somehow the encounter with these beings had a profound impact on these individuals who were very troubled, and they did in fact turn their lives around. I could speak of my own positive UFO encounter, and I don't talk about this much, but I'm thinking in the future I will get into this story a little bit here on the YouTube channel, but suffice it to say for now, when I was 12 years old, I was having a really bad year at school. I had a lot of anxiety. My father was a pretty heavy drinker. There was a lot of anxiety and just a lot of stressful energy at home. I wasn't very impressed with the world around me at that time. I wasn't suicidal or anything like that, but I just watched how people, the adults around me, they drank, they fought, they threw temper tantrums. Friends my own age, the kids at school, bullying one another, bullying me. Just the way people treated one another. And I thought, why do people do these things? And why do people treat one another so horribly in this world? And I remember one day, it was November 15th, 1979. I was in my room by myself after school. My brother had gone with my uncle Christmas shopping. And I was looking out of the window at the foot of the bed. It was one of those very cloudy, dismal kind of November days as night was falling. And I remember in my mind looking to the heavens and just saying, I believed in God as a kid. I said, God, I need some help. I need some answers. I'm just not feeling good about a lot of things in my life. I'm very anxious. I'm starting to feel depressed. If there's any way you can help, I would certainly appreciate it. And strangely, I saw a light up in the sky in the dark clouds, and it came down by the bedroom window. And for all intents and purposes, it was a UFO. A being stepped out of this UFO at the window at the foot of my bed, and I heard it speaking to me, as many people do in UFO encounters, in my mind. It was scary at first as a kid of 12 years old, but it actually ended up being very positive and something that was extremely life-changing for me. And people can believe that or not. Like I said, it's not something I talk about a lot, but it happened, and I share this story with certain people when I think there's just certain people, they're really not going to believe it, or they're not really going to care. And then you know that there's people, when you share something like this with them in the details of the encounter, it speaks to them, and it makes them even have their own moment where they go, yeah, there's something out there, and it's looking out for us. But again, suffice to say, I had my own positive UFO encounter. It was life changing. At 12 years old, it set my life on a path that I'm still on today. It's one of the reasons I'm doing this YouTube channel right now, and one of the reasons that I write my blog. So again, everyone is free to accept that or not, believe that or not. But my own encounter and others like it that I've read about and heard about, it certainly speaks to me that not all of these UFOs or the beings in them are evil or deceptive or looking to abduct people and harm them in some way or go out there and mutilate cattle. I believe in my heart of hearts that some of them are good, and we encounter them when we need something good in our lives, or we need help, or even having our lives saved by them. I think the blanket statement of people to say, well, all UFOs are bad, all UFOs are demonic, is very much a mistake. That would be like an alien coming to our world and seeing all of the terrible things that people do, particularly those in government and corporations, destroying the earth, trampling on the little guy to acquire all the wealth and all the oil and all the resources, and looking at that and saying, well, that's it. These creatures called human beings on planet Earth, they're all evil. They're all of the devil, or whatever their rendition of the devil might be. I think it would be as unfair for an alien race to do that to us as for us to think that way towards them. Because you and I both know that, yeah, there's some bad people in this world, some really bad people in this world, but there's also a lot of really good people. And I think that goes for every life form out there, whether it be beings from other planets, other dimensions, or wherever they may be from. So what about you guys out there? Have any of you, or have any of you known someone who had a life-saving, life-changing, positive encounter with a UFO? Let me know in the comments below. I would definitely like to hear about it. This is a subject that has interested me for many years, and I would definitely like to hear about it if any of you out there have your own stories to share. I'm Paul James Caden. This is The Spirit Side. I bid you all peace, and I'll see you all in the next upload.